I am Scott Simpson, nimble with numbers here. Hope you're doing well on this Week 7 Sunday. I am so excited. I got my man, Bo_McBigtime on Twitter, ready to rock out the Milly Maker podcast. Bo, how are you doing, sir?
I'm exhausted. I need some coffee and whiskey stat.
Quickly, get the man a whiskey, make it a double. We're about to jump into the Milly Maker. For folks who don't know, we have a podcast that we started a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago, a couple years ago. I don't know. It seems like forever. Fast, hard finish. We were just on about 12 hours ago. Yeah, we were on. And Bo hasn't slept since then. We were fire then, myself, Mike, and Bo, and we're going to be fire right now. Let's recap what we do here. Each week, we take one shot at the Milly Maker. I'm not a man of a lot of money. I've got children, mouths to feed, she sheds to save for. Say that 5 times fast.
Stinking parasites.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, I love my family and all, but they are dragging me down. So with that being said, I'm trying to win $1 million just to leave them, help them leave me alone. Give them what they want, and then I can do what I want, which is this. So last week, my man Bo McBigtime won me $100 because our lineup got 204 points. It placed around 2,000th in the Milly Maker, which is great. That is exactly what you want in a lineup. High upside potential, a lot of value picks that are going to be under-owned. And so we're back again. By the way, Bo, if we would have played our guy, which we had in other lineups, Derrick Henry, instead of Aaron Jones, I would have made $10,000. So we're close. We're really close. Really close. Both
guys were in play. We felt like Aaron Jones had that sneaky, too high of a price to fit into a lot of lineups kind of upside, and he got bottled up pretty good. And so we were wrong there, but it was the right process, and then the result wasn't what we hoped because other lineups that we had Derrick Henry high on were blowing up, and that was, he's amazing. Watching that guy is it's like watching a train wreck, except he's a guy running with a football in his hands.
Right, and the casualties are DBs and Josh Norman.
Anybody in his way,
right?
Anybody.
Now, and I saw a cool interview with Richard Sherman from Chris Collinsworth from the PFF crew this week. They had it on the podcast, and they talked about how do you actually tackle Derrick Henry. And you don't do what Josh Norman did. No, you don't run sideways next to him with your shoulders square. You go at his thigh pad. You're a missile through, and
drive.
You get knocked out. You get knocked out. But that's how you have to go at him. And
if anybody knows, it's Sherm. Sherm's been playing the game a long time. He's a smart, witty player, and those big guys still go down if you hit them in the right spot at the right angle.
Oh yeah.
But you got, like he said, you got to be a missile.
Ooh. Well, speaking of that, that's the goal of our Milly Maker lineup, to take them down, to be a missile, to maybe zig when we need to zag. So I'm going to pull up our DraftKings, and we're going to get our lineup moving, and we're going to start building. So I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully this works. Here we go. We are in a DraftKings lineup. This is one that we built yesterday just for funsies as we left. Fast, hard finish. It was right there for us. So anything
that one's going to win us $100K though too.
This is the $100K winning lineup. So we don't want to double dip. We could double dip. The show would be over if we just threw this lineup in. But since it was a fresh build, is there any players that you're looking at? Maybe one guy you want to steal from this that we might want to throw into our Milly Maker build today?
I'm just a huge Kareem Hunt fan this week. It's something that I feel strongly about. The last time these teams faced each other is in week 2, and it was a combination of Hunt and Chubb, and they ran for 260 yards on the Bengals.
Is that a lot? Is that a lot of
it's above average. It's above average.
Oh, okay.
And that timeshare, they're both relevant at their prices that week. And now you have Kareem Hunt, who does not carry an injury designation. You have Dearness Johnson. You have Dontrell Hilliard. You don't have anybody behind Hunt who's really carried the rock regularly in the whole league. And Kareem Hunt, before he got up into some shady trouble on security footage, was an elite bell cow running back.
Yeah.
He didn't lose any of that. He just, he got caught up and made some very poor life choices, and it cost him a lot of money.
Yeah.
But now he's paid. He's under contract. He's very talented, as we've seen the last few weeks. Even when he doesn't have a big performance, he's on the verge of it. And so, I mean, it's just, I don't think he's that chalky this week because he's kind of expensive.
Yeah, no, he is. And I've just pulled up a tool that I use. It's a paid tool, so it's not going to be out there free for everybody, but is from Occupy Fantasy. If you know Brian Jester, he is behind this. It's a nice little tool that kind of takes in the ownership percentages. So we can actually look and see who are those highest owned players. Alvin Kamara, of course, busting over at 26%. Gio Bernard at 20%. Kareem Hunt at 18.3. Now, here's the deal. I don't mind eating that kind of chalk in this lineup, because you're going to need somebody to go off, and everyone's going to have somebody that goes off. I think we have a bit of jealousy when we see certain players going off. I don't have that one. I don't have that one. No, it's okay. You have your own. You have your own guy who's going to go off. And I think that guy for us to start off, I like Kareem Hunt a lot in that role. I'm going to throw him in there just to see what that gives us. Let's see what it looks like with him in. I think it's going to look good. So let's just try. I'm going to go right to RB and go to Hunt.
And really what you're building is somebody who isn't necessarily safe. And I'm not worried about a running back's price yet because I haven't really filled in around him yet. So like you said, we're going to see what it looks like when we put more players around him. But he's that guy that you're hoping has a higher probability of hitting 30, 35 points.
Yeah.
If there's anybody on the board, most of the guys that are going to hit 30 and 35 points are going to cost you salary. And that's just the way it is. Whether they're owned by 40, 50% or 18%, you have to have those players in your build if you want to win.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing I think about Kareem Hunt. I know that Austin Hooper is out. We have Jarvis Landry banged up as well. Odell Beckham Jr.
Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield. Yeah, the whole team is kind of it's down. Here's a thought, though. Instead of chasing Njoku, who is cheap, I mean, he's a cheap chase, right? I'm not going to lie. It's not
very
bad.
Cheap.
Very cheap. Why not go with a player on the team already whose increased volume will kind of, because of that? I think we think, who's the replacement at that position when somebody gets hurt? Okay, that's good. That's good. Who are the players who are already good on the team who they're going to give the ball to more? They don't like Njoku that much. He hasn't been on the field that much. Why do you think all of a sudden, and I love different people. My man Pete Davidson, he gave an argument that they're going to showcase him for a trade. Okay, possibly. I just don't buy that this week. And I think Kareem Hunt's a great play because that value is going to be pushed towards him. It's kind of funneled to him in the offense. He is the best player offensively on their team right now. You got to give him the ball.
He's the guy who they expect to score touchdowns for them.
Yes.
He's the guy they want to give the ball to score points and beat their divisional opponent. They're not going to lay as much trust in the hands of somebody else.
No.
Especially if you have OBJ, who's going to be well covered. He's going to be the focal point of that secondary. Landry's not going to run any routes over 10 yards down the field, even if he is healthy.
Right.
And Baker Mayfield might pepper him with targets, but we haven't seen it yet this year.
No. Well, and we have seen it. Jarvis Landry has dropped the ball twice. 2-3 weeks ago, he dropped first downs as the Browns were driving in games they could win. At the time, they did not end up winning. You know what? I like this play. I also, with Baker and what he's going through with his rib issue, I could see little dump-offs, little screens kind of getting Kareem Hunt in space. They already run him out of the slot, out of the Y. Sometimes you see him down at the bottom of the field, and you go, is that Kareem Hunt at the bottom of my screen? Yeah, it is.
You know why? Because he's a football player.
Right. He can catch. He can line up at any position and take a route, across the formation and get open. So I really think if I'm Stefanski, I'm going all in on Kareem Hunt this week. That game script makes a lot of sense. All right, let's take a look at another running back position. We want to shore up our running backs and then kind of build our stack, our wide receiver QB stack. But we can always change our running backs if we go with a game flow theory and we want to run it back with somebody that doesn't fit our build. We'll be flexible. There's a lot of running backs that are underpriced and over-owned. Jamal Williams this week is going to be very chalky. According to Occupy Fantasy right now, he is at 16%. I would expect that to rise into the 20, 22, 23%.
Especially if they announce that Aaron Jones is officially limited, or He's going to start, but he's not going to see a ton of playing time because even if he can fight through a calf injury, for his type of his style of play, is they don't give him enough snaps anyway as it is, even if he's 100%. Like, he's one of the most explosive playmakers in the entire league, and yet he's in a 60-40 timeshare with Jamalfa Williams.
Jamalfa. Well, we're not going to go Jamalfa today. A lot of chalk will be on Jamalfa. There's also some Geo chalk in a matchup where Geo's priced down. What do you think about the Geo chalk? It's up. It's pretty high. I mean, right now it's at the 20% range. So is that chalk you want to eat? Is that chalk you want to go spit out?
No, I'd honestly rather have the Jamal Williams chalk this week.
Yeah,
I mean, Houston is a very worthy adversary if you want to score points at the running back position.
Yes.
And if Aaron Jones is limping around, well, that's just even more reason for them to make the stupid choice to give more touches to Jamal Williams.
Yeah.
And even though I don't like either one of them particularly in a GPP because they don't have a huge amount of upside, I actually see A.J. Dillon getting a lot of goal line work because he's just simply a bigger back that can actually break a tackle. Jamal Williams, I don't think I've ever seen him break a tackle. And I say this every week because they keep giving him touches and he goes as far as they will let him before a defender breathes on him and he's on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. And if we wanted to, in our flex later, we might come back to A.J. Dillon. We'll revisit, his cheap price down there. We'll talk about it, think about it. We'll see. The tool I'm using, if you look here at the ownership percentage for even A.J. Dillon, it's really low. It's at 5%. But there's a lot of good players that Zeke Elliott 4.9%. Rojo's at 4% down there. Pretty low for Rojo.
You know how I feel about Rojo this week.
I do like Rojo. Let's take a look and see, where
that ownership is a direct reflection of everybody's fear that Fournette is back 100%. And I think it's going to take Fournette a couple of weeks to get back into a full stride where he can split that workload 50-50.
Yeah.
I still think Rojo's getting at least 75% of the running back touches this week, especially against the Raiders, who are terrible against all running backs, especially the guys that are featured all over the field. Like, Rojo is not a great receiver, but they still give him the shot at catching the ball.
Yeah, I know. I like this with old man Brady back there. Winter is coming. He doesn't.
Old bones are aching.
He likes the little James, White plays, and Ronald Jones is not a James White player. But if he's going to be near him and big, huge men are coming at him, the ball's probably going to get past his way a time or two. I like the Rojo play, and so far we have spent 1,300. And we've got some really good quality running backs. One will be a little chalky. One, though, we are diversifying. So our running back overall total, not that chalky, even though we have.
You know how happy it makes me to hear that my 7 to 8% prediction is actually north of what it actually is on Rojo.
Yeah.
Like, I was not expecting to see Rojo under that nickel.
No, I wasn't either.
That pleases me greatly.
Yeah, I think what it shows you is that in some of these tournaments, people are going to be afraid to pay up. And, one of your my favorite parts of your column that you write each week is it says pay up for studs. And so that's what we do at times. And studs are not just the best names that you see, but the best positions, the best opportunities, the best volume share. All things combined.
They are your surest bet. Like, if you have odds on every player to blow up at the 5x value that you need to win the Milly Maker, you're way more likely to hit that number with a top priced person. They're priced up there for a reason. They're the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
And so you're spending up on those guys because they have a higher probability of hitting the giant number that you need to win the whole thing.
Yeah, and I would say they are the Kareem of the hunt. If you would beg an indulgence there. I like our RBs right now, and let's jump to – I'm going to let you pick. Do you want to go to wide receiver and do a wide receiver quarterback stack, or do you want to go down to tight end and kind of mess around down there?
Let's jump right into the stack. We're both heavy stack guys. So
big time. We don't
necessarily have to do double stacks. I mean, It's not. It's a good clean split where every champion of the Milly Maker this year has done at least a single stack,
Yes.
but half of them have done a double stack, and almost all of those guys ran it back with a player on the opposite team. All but one. All but one.
Yeah. Well, let me give you some ownership percentages that I'm looking at just so we can kind of quantify these stacks. You know, the most popular stack looking at my tool is going to be DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray. It's also one of the most expensive stacks. The Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams stack is there. The DK Metcalf stack. Russell Wilson is expensive too. But it's the most expensive stack. Are we going to jump in?
And you'll be happy to hear that I'm fading all of those quarterbacks, at least for GPP.
Ooh.
Because we're talking, you already have to be more wary of quarterback chalk than any other position. That's why you see so many winners of these big tournaments spend way down on quarterback just to be different and to spend up at other places that they can count on a little bit lower ownership for various reasons.
Well,
so I'm looking in that 6,500 and under range for my quarterback in a GPP.
I love that.
Because you can spend up and stack your Hopkins and Kyler Murray, but Hopkins got bottled up by one of the worst secondaries in the entire league because he wasn't 100%.
Yeah.
And Seattle's not anything good either in the secondary. They've given up their share of big plays and touchdowns. The numbers aren't good, but they're better than the Cowboys. And Hopkins is not as healthy as he was last week to start the game. He tweaked that ankle in the middle of the game. And so it's that game. It's like you can say, yeah, Kyler Murray is a great play. He's going to score a ton of points. But I'm afraid to stack him in that game because I'm afraid that the guy I think is going to blow up in that game is going to be Chris Carson. And you're going to see a very little time of possession for those Cardinals because they like to run a lot of plays and move the ball down the field. And if Carson's having a big game, Kyler Murray's going to be right on the bench getting cold.
Yeah. No, I like that game script that you're kind of laying out. You know, and here's the thing, too. The most expensive wide receiver, on the whole slate is DeAndre Hopkins. And when you got the questionable tag next to your name and you're the most
ankle.
Yeah, that's your wheels, man. And if Hopkins at all, he is a precise route runner he's got a ballerina deftness of touch with
he's physical too. So think about his physicality with one good ankle. It's not going to be what you think because he's probably going to get Shaquille Griffin or Trey Flowers, but both of those guys are press corners that like to get up in your face and push you around a little bit. That's why they get burned so much because they're physical corners. You get a free release on them because your ankles are healthy and you can make some big plays, especially if your quarterback's got talent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that could happen if Hopkins was 100% with that ankle, but he's not. So I'm not touching that.
No, I like that. And that puts us in a whole nother price tier here at quarterback that gets rid of the Russell Wilsons, the Josh Allens, the Mahomes, the Aaron Rodgers, the Watsons, all of those. And we're left with a ceiling of a Matt Stafford, a price-wise ceiling, not points.
I will say there are a couple quarterbacks above that $6,500 mark that I am not afraid to spend up on because I don't feel like their ownership is going to be reflective of their upside.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's one.
Yeah, I'd say Josh Allen's one. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, if you think that the Jets are good at one thing, I think, and they have an average defensive line, so none of their team is good. Like we've seen them get beat every which way, and they're probably not going to win a game this year. But the teams that struggle against them to blow them out like they should are the teams that can't throw the ball down the field.
Yeah. No, I like that. The Josh Allen, he came back to earth a little bit the last couple of weeks, but you still see the game-breaking potential he has on the ground, particularly too. He's getting carries, and so I think you could play him naked. You could play him with Diggs. Diggs is
love it.
But we're not going to do that. We're going to go a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, you're kind of with me where you like to budget the quarterback downward so that you can get some bigger names at the skill positions.
Yes, exactly. So here's a few different candidates. Let's put three people out here from this group. I'm going to offer up Joe Burrow, who is 5,500. Teddy Bridgewater at 5,800. And then I will jump up here to, Herbert, or I'll go for Herbert or Stafford, 65 to 6,400. You kind of have a top range, and then you kind of have a mid and a low range. What are you thinking about some of these different quarterbacks? Can you give me kind of the pros and the cons for anybody in that list that you're thinking about?
So starting at the top, Stafford scares me a lot because he's had probably 2 or 3 really plus matchups where he should have smashed, and he's had maybe one really good game this year out of 5 games or out of 6 games. And he's had one game over 20 points. One.
Yeah.
And all the upside in the world isn't going to save you if you're trying to get a guy who's going to score you 30, 35 points to win you a tournament. And the guy's only done it one time in the whole season so far.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, he's got a great matchup, but we've seen this before.
Yeah. And I would say you saw an offense last week in Minnesota that had to throw the ball because they were getting crushed. And that was the case there. They didn't run the ball at all. And Kirk Cousins did well. He did well. But
he
3 interceptions, he did well.
3 picks, and then like you're saying, okay, everybody knows what we have to do to score some points and get back in this game. And the Falcons don't offer much resistance there. They, even when they know you're going to pass.
Yeah.
The talent of the Minnesota receivers carried the rest of that game for Cousins.
Yeah.
The throws he was making were to pretty wide open receivers, and they were making big plays on his behalf.
Yeah. And not that the Lions can't make some of those plays too, but Matt Patricia has shown over his tenure of losing that he's not a great football coach, and he's changed the way that they play. They run the ball a lot. First and second down, they are run heavy.
And they're pretty darn good at it too, to be honest. I mean, you have a very old, future Hall of Fame running back that's still getting a good amount of carries, and he's not doing nothing with them. He's not doing a Frank Gore 3.4 yards a carry. He's popping some big runs. Like, he owned the Bears early in the season. He's popping off big plays like he's 5 years ago AP. But it's still like you're ignoring so much talent around AP to give him his credit, I guess. I don't know why else they would give him so much run other than to save their other guys for later in the year. But you might be out of contention by then.
Yeah. Well, this is a game, if they don't win, they probably are going to be out of contention. We already know Atlanta has fired their coach. They're out of contention. They're playing for themselves right now.
I like Raheem Morris so much as a coach that I think that they actually upgraded to the interim.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that whole team mentality, they came out and they got that big lead, and they kind of did that little panic thing, but then they squeezed the throat a little bit, and you saw that Raheem Morris toughness come back to that defense where they got some pressure on Cousins, and they got off the field a few times.
Yeah. No, I like it. So let's talk about
I like Burrow, by the way. Burrow is a big play for me because that's a great price. I see him and Herbert as equivalent this week. They're both good plays, but when you can save $900 on Burrow,
yeah, that's an upgrade.
That's a very appealing thing because you can stack him, you can play him naked. He's got a good rushing floor. He's shown that already. He and Herbert are the same quarterback.
So
at least as rookies.
Yeah. I have a question for you, and talking about chalk and how different we want to be and whatnot. Joe Burrow is around 6%, 5.6% owned. It's not very high. Derek Carr is less than 1% owned. He's nothing. Now he's
got less than 1% of his offensive line.
He does. Well, here's
against a ferocious D line.
Here's my question in that though. Gruden's not an idiot. He understands what's going to happen. My question is, do they try to slow the game down and just run the ball the whole time and make it a slow game? Or do they have to just pass the ball like crazy because we got Rojo already in our team? They're running all over them and they're behind. And so that kind of creates a pass funnel because of necessity. What do you think about that potential happening in this?
I don't have much confidence in Carr in a tough matchup. I've seen him light up bad defenses a lot of times. That 2016 campaign where he was in the MVP running, that was back when the defenses in the AFC West were awful, like really bad. And he feasted on them.
Yeah.
And he's got a lot of talent around him finally. But, I mean, the offensive line it's scary bad. And Tampa Bay's front seven is scary good.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like his upside even if he's throwing it 40, 50 times because he doesn't even trust himself to throw the ball down the field when he's under pressure.
Yeah. No, I like that. And I think that this is going to be a game that it's going to get out of hand for Tampa Bay. And that's why we love our Rojo play. For me, it comes down to Burrow. We haven't touched on Bridgewater, only $300 more going up against the Saints defense has given up 3 touchdowns in I think three straight games to opposing quarterbacks. What do we think about Bridgewater or Burrow? Because it's going to be one of them. We're narrowing it down. We haven't even got to talk about Bridge yet, though.
Yeah, I mean, Burrow's one of my favorite plays this week, but Teddy is sneaky this week. Like nobody's talking about him. It's like I would even throw Mike Davis in the flex as your contrarian stack with Teddy B, because I don't know whether he's going to feature Robbie Anderson or DJ Moore. But they're very likely to feature the running back position because that's what they've done since CMC was a rookie.
Yeah.
And even when they weren't giving him all the work before he busted out onto the scene, they still were featuring the back.
Yeah, I like that. If we go put him in our flex real quick, he was priced at, and I got to find him here. I probably went over him. There we go, Mike Davis, 66. So we're paying up for running backs, but really what we're paying up is for touches. Kareem Hunt, Ronald Jones, Mike Davis, they're going to be featured in matchups that for them in the game script, they're going to be getting a lot of, hopefully, the.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, no, I'm okay with that. I would like to run it back with another wide receiver from Carolina. So I guess it just comes down to, do we want to do DJ Moore at 5,600? Do we want to go to Robbie Anderson? He's a little more expensive at 6,000. What are you thinking this week? Or you want to go Curtis Samuel, which is just, no one's on. He's dustiest of dust.
I don't think we have to go that extreme. Curtis Samuel is still nursing a sore knee, so he's active. But even just having a sore knee as that kind of player, where you're the guy that runs the reverses, the end arounds, the gadget plays as your reserve tailback. I don't see him being much of a factor in the game, so I'm not getting that risky on him. But DJ Moore would be my choice this week because they feature him all over the field. Robbie's been the guy sitting in the slot, which we initially thought would be DJ Moore's role. Yeah. But the Temple boys had other plans. They stuck Robbie, his skinny, lanky speedster self, in the slot, and it's working.
Yeah.
But I think what we saw last week and the week before that was you can pretty easily cover a guy like Robbie Anderson if you put somebody decent on him.
Right. You have to actually cover him, though. You can't do zone. That gives him a chance to run all over you.
Yeah, you have to get a slot guy off his mark. And the last couple of weeks, the tape has been there where he's gravitating back to the outside with DJ Moore because DJ Moore is always open. That guy is a freak route runner. Yeah. And you get the ball in his hands, and he's way more electric than Robbie is. Robbie's a good vertical route guy. He's decent after the catch, but he's not DJ Moore.
No. And looking at the ownership for DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson's up at 7.7%, and I'm scrolling. He's not even on the first page, which that's encouraging. Because listen, if we're trying to win the most amount of money in a head-to-head or something, we're probably not going to be playing DJ Moore. Oh, he's down here at 3%. We're trying to win $1 million here, and so we're trying.
And that's the thing with DJ Moore. It's the games we've seen him play. He either was not featured enough for our liking, which is what can happen when you build a GPP. And then you have the game where he had 2 weeks ago where all he had to do is catch a little crossing route, and he's 57 yards down the sideline where it looks like he's jogging, like a leisurely stroll down the sidelines, and you can tell the DBs are trying to catch him, and they're hoofing it as hard as they can, and he's still pulling away.
Yeah, still pulling away.
It's like, get the ball to DJ Moore.
I love him. He played at Maryland. I am a Maryland grad. Shout out Terps. And when he You know,
fighting turtles.
Yeah, man. Well, here's the thing: if you don't know what a terrapin is, it's not like a guy running up.
No.
No, it's a badass. You know,
It's like a turtle that's got the neck of a salamander. It's really crazy shit.
It's cool.
Amphibians are weird, dude.
It's cool shit. It's cool. Anyway, I love that play. No one's gonna have this lineup so far. I don't think.
No.
This lineup right now might be in that
the sharpest thing or the dumbest thing we've ever done.
Yeah, I like it. You know what? And this is the cool part about it. Since I'm up $5,000, I can throw $20 every week and not give a shit. So if I lose, I don't even care.
If you're on the same page as me, you're spending up and you don't care about chalk at the other two wide receiver positions.
I'm going to spend up for sure at the wide receiver positions. I don't care about chalk. Who are some of your best plays this week at wide receiver? And I've got somebody to consider, at least to consider in this.
No, and I know one of your boys is Calvin Ridley, and I'm definitely not afraid to play him in a GPP this week because he's priced above Julio Jones, who we very well just saw go off for a humongous game. And it's like, okay, everybody's got the Julio bias back. They got the itch, you know? Julio's Julio. He's going to command ownership, especially after a performance he just had. Ridley was very quiet in that game with 18 points.
Yeah.
Quiet 18 points. Can you believe that?
Quiet. That was quiet. So that puts us right now. We have
we're sitting pretty.
Tight end defense. We're looking strong to quite strong because we're going to have a budget play somewhere in there. Somebody who is going to be a value. We know that. Let's look at tight end real quick and see.
Mm-hmm.
We want to spend down in history. Drew Samples 3,200. I know he's somebody who is low.
He's intriguing. He's intriguing.
Yeah. Anybody else in the lows, or are we going to go a little bit higher in the Fells range? What are you thinking about for tight end here?
Not Tyler Croft.
No.
Not Dawson Knox either, because he's not going to play.
No.
I actually like Logan Thomas this week because the Cowboys are atrocious against the tight end. They got
that price either.
They got opted. They got their 19th ranking is because the Cardinals simply don't use a tight end. They have Dan Arnold out there running wide receiver routes, and then they don't even put a tight end on the field for 80% of their plays. They're running 4 wide the whole game.
Yeah.
And I mean, Dan Arnold might get a slot gig. He's got a couple slot packages, but you never see him at an inline tight end.
No.
And so the ranking for the Cowboys against the tight end has been bamboozled. They went from 29 or 30 ranked against tight end to 19th because the Cardinals didn't need the tight end position to shred them.
No, they did not. They just give it to Andy Isabella or Kenyon
Christian Kirk, man.
Christian Kirk. Any pick your poison.
I'm thinking, either Logan Thomas, or we can also look at Njoku, but I mean, I'm not really sold on him, especially when we have risky plays already on the board here.
Yeah, no, I'm good with Logan Thomas. I accidentally, when you click one position and you go to it, it goes to the next one, and I just double clicked accidentally. It put in the Washington football team. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. It's cheap play. Let's see how chalky this is going to be today, because you know what, the defensive chalk, I'm not afraid of eating, because that the positional value there.
Well, people don't know how to pick defenses anyway. Yeah.
So Washington football team is the top owned defense at 12%, but that's 12%. That's not that high. That's not bad. And when you add all
Sometimes you see them 45, 50%, because it's I'm surprised that the Bills aren't higher owned because they're playing the Jets.
Oh, I know. Well, so
but they're expensive.
They're expensive. They're much higher.
Very top.
This if we put Logan Thomas in, that leaves us for wide receiver number 3, knowing we already have Calvin Ridley and DJ Moore. That leaves us in the Chase Claypool range, all the way down to the Ruggs range, and there's a couple other plays maybe down here, maybe not.
No.
Get out of there. That's gross.
It really drops off there below 55.
Yeah, I mean we do have Boyd Claypool. I would love to get to McLaren here somehow. I don't know how I could do that. Maybe get rid of Logan Thomas in that.
Yeah. I wouldn't want both of them in the same because
No.
I mean, as bad as Dallas's defense is, you have a pretty narrow scope of targets that come out of Washington's offense. So McLaurin's a better play than Logan Thomas if you have your choice.
That puts us in the Drew Sample business.
And I don't mind that.
I don't mind that either in this matchup. We get a piece of Burrow. I think I'd rather, if you said, would you rather have Logan Thomas and Chase Claypool or Logan Thomas and T. Higgins, or would you rather have Terry McLaurin and Drew Sample? It's close. It's close.
It's tough because tight end has been so unpredictable this year.
Yeah.
And I've been terrible at predicting tight ends. So I'm just going to be throwing darts. Like I have a lot of my tournament builds where I just said, fuck it. And I spent up at tight end and went with Travis Kelce and just try to work things around him. Because I've been terrible at picking the low price tight ends. Like I'm just missing them.
It's tricky wickets. It is.
It's unnerving.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's tricky, and the tight end position is terrible. Travis Kelce is so much better than everybody else.
We can't afford him in this build, though.
Not in this build. We cannot get to him. There's no one else that really kind of screams that value either. Even cool here, Logan Thomas. He's not a super great value.
No, because he's inconsistent. That offense is low volume. And that scares you because if it's not McLaurin or Gibson, it's really nobody.
Yeah. Yeah. The Buffalo situation does intrigue me. Dawson Knox is out. Tyler Kroft, how much was he? Was he too much for us in that price set range or no?
I don't think so. He's pretty far down there.
Yeah. No, he was at 31. Would you rather have Kroft, who, I mean, here's the thing about him is that if you look at his game, how he's done, he got 18 points in one game where he caught 2 touchdowns and then nothing else.
That's his gig. He's your Darren Fells. He's your Rob Gronkowski. Really, more accurately Eric Ebron, where he's not featured between the 20s, but you get him in the red zone and he becomes an option.
Yeah.
And so I don't like the floor, but of course not, because he goes games without any attention paid to him.
Yeah.
It's hard. At the bottom of the barrel of tight ends, you just don't know who's going to get some work at all and who's not going to get any. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'll roll the dice with Kroft on this since we are already rolling dice. With Sample, there's a lot of players at other positions that are going to demand targets. He doesn't have to have them. Whereas, Tyler Kroft, they have Gabriel, they have McKenzie, they do have other people. But in the red zone, he's just on the field. You know what I mean? Like he's in that red zone package.
And as disappointing as Knox has been this year, he was getting a lot of snaps. And with him out on the COVID list, Kroft is going to be on the field a lot.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I like it. It leaves us 300, which, honestly, I like having a little money left over. But let's just check and see at maybe the running back position. I love Mike Davis, and I love that connect. But maybe, just maybe, James Conner. We don't
need to have it, yeah. Ooh.
James Conner or Mike Davis. James Conner might.
Conner is way better play than Mike Davis this week.
Yeah.
It could be wrong, completely wrong, but
I like this. And this also, here's what it does too. If Teddy Bridgewater does hit, but let's say he only hits to DJ Moore, it protects us against a Bridgewater. And
with DJ Moore in the lineup, we don't need Mike Davis.
No, we don't. We had a piece of that,
and we make a stronger pivot there to James Conner, he's game script proof. He's going to get work, whether they're way up or way down or in a dogfight.
Yeah. And
we don't know. That Tennessee-Pittsburgh game is going to be very interesting to see how it shakes out, because you have a lot of weird matchups where, I mean, Pittsburgh's defense is good at just about everything except for stopping explosive wide receivers from making big plays. So you have A.J. Brown and Jonnu Smith coming into play, doing things that Pittsburgh hasn't been too good at stopping. And they have a great run defense, so you don't expect Derrick Henry to repeat last week's performance.
Yeah.
And then you have Tannehill going up against a great defense, and so you don't always – you're kind of capping his potential. And on the other side, you have a Tennessee defense that can't stop really anybody, and you have Big Ben, and you have all these different options. You're spreading yourself thin trying to predict which Pittsburgh wide receiver is going to have the best game since all three of the main guys are healthy again. James Conner is the constant there.
And I like it. When you look at our build, we have 3 running backs who are the bell cow running backs. If anybody on the Cleveland team is going to get 2 touchdowns, it's going to be Kareem Hunt. Ronald Jones has that potential. So does James Conner. You want that floor touchdown with
I love our wide receivers too. I absolutely love the wide receivers in this build.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And to think that we all we had to do was to go Tyler Kroft. That's all we really got. That's the only kind of reach. If Tyler Kroft does hit, ding, 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 ding.
And that's a bonus.
Yeah. So
because at his price, we don't need him to be anything.
No, he allowed me to get James Conner in there and McLaurin.
The Milly Maker winner last week had 2 players that were under projection, but they hit all the massive performances on top of that. So they missed. The winner of the Milly Maker last week missed twice and still won because they hit so big on the ones that they had that the misses didn't matter.
I like this lineup. I'll be honest with you. I like it in the Milly Maker. I like it in my $100 50-50.
Double up, because you still have to safe floor all over.
All over. This might just be my team. I'm not going to build any more teams after this. We spent a good time building this. It was 40 minutes of building a team. I think this is the thing you really have to do if you're a DFS head. You really have to get your head together with somebody else and talk it out and really build. And
you can't be afraid to get your hands dirty.
Yeah, make mistakes.
Because we made swaps. Like, we love a guy, but we can't afford him, so we have to pivot. We have to think about a different strategy. Yeah. It's like, I really like him here, but with this other guy, we can't afford him. It's not possible.
No.
And so then we start breaking other things down to explain the script that we're writing here for this build. It's like the Milly Maker winner is usually going to tell a story of, okay, how did this all come and fall into place to win the whole thing?
Yeah.
And so you have to be able to weave the narrative and tell and explain why you built it a certain way. And I think we have a really good story to tell here.
Yeah, I think we do. And we're not our floor is
massive.
I'm looking at like a 170 floor here, which is what you kind of want when you go into these tournaments, the potential to get in the 230s, 240s, 252, whatever it is. This lineup has.
And there is nothing at all wrong with having 2, 3, 4 guys over 15% ownership.
Yeah. Yeah. The only chalk we have in this lineup is Kareem Hunt. He's the chalkiest. Terry McLaurin's a little chalky as well. I didn't actually show the chalk on Terry, but I can go to Scary Terry or F1, whatever your preference is. What do you prefer, Bo? How do you like to describe our guy, Terry McLaurin?
I like to call him Terry McLaurin.
Terry McLaurin, me too. Yeah. He's only 11% owned, so that's not
that's fine. That's fine. Because he's priced down enough where I don't really care.
Yeah. Well, I know that other people are not going to be as forward-thinking, especially with the RB position and the Teddy stack. That makes us unique. I'm going to update this son of a gun, and we're locked and loaded, ready to win $1 million. By the way, if you don't know, since Bo made it with me, we split the mill. That's where I was getting the Bo and the mill together with the bill. Yeah, we get a bill. And we're going to split that bad boy 50-50. You can quote me on that, Mr. Bo. I understand how this works. We are a team. We're building our lineup.
So out of that $500,000, I live in California, so I'll probably see about 180,000.
Here's what we'll have to do, Bo. I will claim the full prize. We will meet in the middle of the country with shotguns, duffel bags, sunglasses, and then just a big bag of something. You know
I
what I
have a
mean?
feeling that the Commonwealth of Maryland tax rate is much lower than where I live.
Yes. No, we are a progressive liberal state, but we also
You believe in freedom of yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Well, I'm so excited about today, man. Bo, thank you again for coming on.
Let's win.
Where can people find you after you win?
Never nowhere.
Nowhere. Right? Tahiti.
I quit.
Before you win.
I quit.
Where can they find you?
I'll fire myself as a writer. I will be gone.
Yeah.
But in the unlikely event that we don't win big this weekend, you can find me on Twitter at Bo_McBigTime. I write 4 weekly columns, 2 of which are on nimblewnumbers.com/Bo-Nose-DFS.
Ooh, yeah.
And I do a reactionary page first, and then I build my sleeper picks and my fades on that article. And then on Friday/Saturday, whenever I get around to it, I build some lineups for different types of contests. So you can check that out, where I build a volume plays for cash games, because I love 50-50 games. I love doubling my money just by beating half of the morons that are going against me. Mm-hmm. And I do the pay up on studs for the multipliers. I like throwing $10 out there, and if you get top 10 out of 117, you get $100 off your $10. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a little hybrid contest. You want your safe floor, but you want your shooters. So you like to get the most expensive guys and then throw in some flyers at the cheap prices. And then in a tournament, it's all about the game stacks. Oh. And so, like what we have here, we have a story. We have correlation plays back and forth, where you're hoping to nail down the big performances on both sides of a high scoring game.
I love it.
That's what it's all about. And I write hot takes called Picantics, because I'm the hot sauce boss. That's on the podcasticnetwork.com or at podcasticff. And now I'm writing for Hammerjacks. I'm writing a once a week article on surprisingly spicy stacks for DFS.
Oh, that's
so the stacks, not your Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins stack that everybody looks at and says, "Ooh, that's shiny." I'm talking about the ones that are in a kind of a mid-level over/under game that you can get on the cheap, like Joe Burrow or Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, it's funny because you can differentiate from high ownership guys like Alvin Kamara this week just by stacking him with his defense. Yeah. Like, nobody's going to have New Orleans defense. It's like we might be onto something with the Teddy Bridgewater play, and we might not, because, I mean, who knows? New Orleans defense not having to be on the field if Kamara and Latavius Murray are just running it down their throat. I mean, that's all possible, but nobody's going to have Teddy Bridgewater.
No.
Nobody.
That's what I'm hoping. I love it. You can also buy Bo's Hot Box brand hot sauce. One of the Hot Box batch is the shit. It's hotboxbatch.com. He's got the sweatshirt on. That's dope. That's what I want my wife to get me for Christmas.
Yeah, you can get all the merch at ViridianGlobal.com. We're in a partnership there where they design all my stuff, and it's a great relationship because I get amazing designs for my brand, and I can sport it. These are high quality threads. Like, we're talking the softest, most comfortable hoodie I've ever worn, and it's got my logo on it.
That's cool as shit, my man. One day I will be there too. The My Sex, but no, I'm kidding.
You're not kidding.
I'm not kidding. That's another story for another day.
That'll be 35 cents, please.
That's cheap. Thank you guys for tuning in. You can find all my stuff at nimblewnumbers.com, fantasymillionaires.com, Twitter, I'm FF Millionaires for the Fantasy Millionaires, and then Nimble W Numbers. We will see you guys next week when we're millionaires. Well, actually, if we're millionaires, you won't see us. So tune in and see if we're still here next week. Have a good one, everybody.
Aloha.